Let me tell you something. When it comes to relationships, people always want to focus on the butterflies, the good mornings, the gifts, and the fun times. But see, love ain't just about the highs. Love is also about paying attention. If you ignore the wrong things early on, you'll end up paying for it later. And trust me, God didn't give you instincts for no reason. If something feels off, chances are it is off. So let's talk about red flags, because everybody can smile when the sun is shining, but the real truth shows up in the storm. There are 5 relationship red flags you should never, ever ignore. Let me tell you something. Disrespect is one of those things you can never brush under the rug in a relationship. I don't care how fine he is, how beautiful she is, how much money they got, or how much fun y'all have when things are good. If a person cannot respect you, your boundaries, your values, your opinions, and the essence of who you are, then what you're really holding on to is a ticking time bomb. See, love might get you started, but respect is what keeps that love standing strong. Without respect, love will eventually fade into resentment. A lot of people fool themselves because disrespect doesn't always come loud at first. It's not always somebody cussing you out or humiliating you in public. Sometimes disrespect is quiet. It's them interrupting you when you speak, laughing at your dreams, brushing off your feelings like they don't matter. It's them making you feel like your emotions are too much, like your opinions are small, or like your presence doesn't carry weight. That's disrespect too. And the reason people tolerate it is because they confuse affection with respect. But let me tell you something. A kiss ain't respect. Flowers ain't respect. Good morning texts ain't respect. Respect is how they treat you when they disagree with you, when they're frustrated, when they don't get their way. That's when true respect shows up. Here's what I know: when a person respects you, they don't just care about how you feel when everything is good. They care about protecting your dignity even when things are hard. Respect means they honor your no. Respect means they don't talk down to you. They don't make you feel small to make themselves feel big. Respect is consideration. It's listening. It's acknowledging that you matter. You can't build a partnership without it. I see so many people staying in relationships where disrespect is normalized. A man raises his voice every time he's angry, and she says, "That's just how he is." A woman constantly belittles her man, and he says, "That's just her personality." No, that's not just who they are. That's disrespect. And every time you excuse it, you teach them how to treat you. The moment you let it slide once, you give permission for it to become a habit. And before you know it, what was once uncomfortable becomes your new normal. That's why so many people lose themselves in relationships, because they compromise the very thing that holds their self-worth together: respect. Love without respect is like a house without a foundation. Sure, it can look good for a while. You can decorate it, make it pretty, put curtains up. But the first storm that comes is going to tear it down, because it wasn't built on something solid. When you're with somebody who respects you, even in disagreements, they still see you as valuable. They still see you as worthy. They don't try to win arguments by breaking your spirit. They don't ignore your boundaries because they feel entitled. They know love means nothing without honor. Disrespect also comes in subtle choices. It's when your partner disregards your time, shows up late without explanation, cancels plans without considering your feelings, or makes decisions that impact both of you without including you. It's when they dismiss your needs because their comfort is more important. That's not partnership. That's selfishness. And selfishness kills relationships faster than anything else. I'll tell you something else. If they don't respect you in private, they sure won't respect you in public. And if they don't respect you when you're dating, they sure won't respect you when you're married. People don't magically become better versions of themselves because you gave them more access to your life. Respect has to already be in the DNA of the relationship. If it ain't there, you'll find yourself carrying the weight of love while constantly questioning your worth. So pay attention early. Pay attention to the jokes that cut too deep, the arguments where they don't let you finish a sentence, the way they minimize your wins, the way they dismiss your struggles. Because all those small things pile up. And let me tell you, it's better to walk away from someone who doesn't respect you than to stay and spend years trying to convince them to see your value. Your value is not up for debate. If they can't respect you, they don't deserve you. Inconsistency is one of the biggest signs you cannot ignore in a relationship, because consistency is how people prove that they are who they say they are. Anybody can talk a good game. Anybody can put together words that sound good, make promises that feel good, and paint a picture of a future that looks beautiful. But words without consistency are just noise. And the danger is, when you're in love, that noise can sound like music, and before you know it, you're dancing to a rhythm that isn't even real. I don't care how sweet the apology is if they keep doing the same thing again. I don't care how romantic the gesture is if it's only there to cover up the lack of effort the rest of the time. Inconsistency is not confusion, it's clarity. When someone shows up strong one day and disappears the next, when they call you every morning for a week and then vanish for 3 days, when they promise to be there but always have an excuse, what they're really telling you is that they don't value your time or your heart the way you deserve. The problem is inconsistency gets mistaken for mystery. A lot of people tell themselves, oh, they're just busy, or they're not good at expressing themselves. But let me tell you something: people make time for what they care about. Nobody is too busy to be consistent when they want to be. If someone can update their social media every day, if they can hang out with their friends, if they can give attention to their hobbies, then they can also give you consistency if you really matter. It's never about time. It's about priority. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean someone will never slip up or make a mistake. What it means is their effort has a pattern. You know what to expect from them because their love is stable. You don't have to wonder if they're going to show up for you when you need them, because their actions have already proven they will. That's the difference between love that's real and love that's temporary. Real love builds trust through repetition. Temporary love builds doubt through inconsistency. Think about it. How many times have people told you they're going to change? How many times have you heard, I promise I'll do better, or that won't happen again? Yet the behavior never shifts. At some point, you've got to stop listening to the words and start watching the pattern. If the pattern never changes, the person never has either. And it doesn't matter how much potential they have, how much you believe in what they could be, or how many good days you've had together. If inconsistency is the rule instead of the exception, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And here's the hard truth. Inconsistency usually means one of two things. Either they don't know what they want, or they don't want you enough to be steady. Either way, you're left holding uncertainty, and uncertainty is poison to the heart. You can't build a secure future on shaky ground. You shouldn't have to question if today they'll treat you with love or tomorrow they'll forget about you. That emotional roller coaster is not passion. It's instability. Let me break it down like this. If somebody shows up every day to work, you call them reliable. If they pay their bills on time, you call them responsible. If they keep their promises to their friends, you call them trustworthy. Why is it that when it comes to relationships, people accept the opposite? Why do we settle for someone being hot one day and cold the next, when in every other part of life we demand consistency? The same standard you expect from a job, from a friend, from a business, you should expect in love. The truth is, love without consistency is not love. It's entertainment. It keeps you guessing. It keeps you hoping. It keeps you hanging on, but it never gives you security. And security is what every relationship needs to survive. Without consistency, trust erodes. Without consistency, communication breaks down. Without consistency, love turns into confusion, and confusion steals your peace. And let me tell you, if you got to sacrifice your peace just to keep somebody, you're paying way too high a price. When it comes to relationships, trust is everything. Without trust, you don't have peace. And without peace, you don't have love. And one of the quickest ways to kill trust is secrecy. See, people think lies are the only problem, but sometimes it's not the lies that break you. It's the things they don't say, the things they hide, the things you feel in your gut but can't quite prove. That secrecy is like poison in the water. At first, it doesn't taste bad, but over time, it eats away at the foundation. Transparency is what keeps a relationship alive, because without it, you're just guessing. A lot of folks try to justify secrecy by calling it privacy. But there's a difference between privacy and hiding. Privacy is healthy. You're still your own person in a relationship, and you don't have to share every thought you ever have. But secrecy, that's intentional. That's withholding information that affects both of you. That's sneaking, covering, dodging questions, getting defensive when something doesn't add up. That's not privacy. That's deception. Let me break it down like this. If you're with somebody and you constantly feel like you have to second guess their words, if they always seem guarded when you ask simple questions, if their phone is always flipped over, locked tight like it's a safe in Fort Knox, that's a sign something ain't right. You shouldn't have to live in a relationship like a detective, putting clues together, checking patterns, wondering where they were or who they're with. That's not love. That's stress. And stress is not the price of love. It's the cost of secrecy. The truth is, when someone is transparent with you, they give you the freedom to breathe. You don't have to guess. You don't have to wonder. You know where you stand because they've made it clear with both their words and their actions. But when secrecy enters the picture, it creates doubt. And doubt is dangerous because once it starts, it doesn't stop. You start questioning everything. What they meant when they said this, why they didn't answer when you called, why that story doesn't line up. And over time, doubt will drain you dry. Now, some people stay in these situations because they don't want to look like they don't trust their partner. But let me tell you something. If you feel like you don't trust them, it's not about you being paranoid. It's about their behavior giving you a reason to question. Instincts don't lie. God gave you that inner alarm for a reason. If something feels hidden, it's because something is hidden. And the worst thing you can do is silence your instincts just to keep a relationship. Secrecy doesn't just break trust. It builds walls. You can't get close to someone who's always keeping you out. You can't feel safe with someone who keeps doors locked in their life. You can't feel valued when you know there are parts of them you're never allowed to see. Love is about vulnerability, and vulnerability requires openness. If they can't be open, they can't be fully in. And let me make this plain. If a person is serious about you, they won't feel the need to hide. When someone truly loves you, they want you to feel secure. They'll answer your questions, not because you demand it, but because they want you to have peace. They won't keep you guessing about who they're talking to, where they've been, or what their intentions are. They'll make it obvious because their goal is your trust, not your suspicion. So many relationships fall apart, not because of big betrayals, but because of little secrets that added up. And once trust is broken, it's a long, hard road to get it back. That's why transparency is non-negotiable. It's like oxygen. Without it, the relationship suffocates. Love needs honesty to survive. And if you find yourself with someone who's comfortable keeping secrets, then you have to ask yourself, are you with a partner or are you with a stranger wearing a mask? One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is thinking that love alone is enough. Love is important, no doubt about it. But love without effort is just a feeling. And feelings fade if they're not backed up by action. A relationship can't survive on one person doing all the heavy lifting while the other person coasts. That's not partnership, that's imbalance. And imbalance always leads to frustration. Think about it, love is supposed to be a two-way street. You pour into me, I pour into you. We both show up, we both contribute, we both sacrifice when needed. But when it turns into one person constantly giving while the other person is constantly taking, that love turns into a drain. You feel exhausted, you feel underappreciated, you feel like you're the only one keeping the relationship alive. And let me tell you something, no matter how strong you are, nobody can carry a relationship by themselves forever. Effort isn't about grand gestures. It's not just about flowers, expensive gifts, or romantic vacations. Those things are nice, but real effort shows up in the everyday. Effort is making time even when life is busy. Effort is remembering the little things that matter to your partner. Effort is being present in the conversation, listening instead of just hearing. Effort is apologizing when you're wrong, not waiting for the other person to fix everything. That's the kind of effort that keeps a relationship alive. The problem is, too many people settle for bare minimum effort because they're scared of being alone. They accept crumbs and call it a meal. They convince themselves that doing everything in the relationship is proof of how much they love their partner. But here's the truth. You shouldn't have to beg for effort. If someone truly loves you, they will naturally invest in you. They will make sure you don't feel alone in what's supposed to be a partnership. Let's be clear. Effort doesn't mean perfection. Nobody gets it right all the time. But you should feel the consistency of someone trying. Because when a person values you, they make it known. They don't leave you questioning. They don't make you wonder if you matter to them. They show it in their actions day after day. And that's what separates someone who's just around from someone who's really with you. Another thing about effort is that it reveals priorities. People make time and energy for what's important to them. If someone is always too tired to talk to you, but has energy to hang out with friends, scroll through social media, or chase their hobbies, that tells you where you stand. If someone is always too busy to spend time with you, but never too busy for everything else, you've got your answer. Love without effort is nothing but convenience, and you deserve more than being somebody's option when it's easy. And let's talk about reciprocity. A healthy relationship isn't about keeping score, but it is about balance. If you're always the one initiating conversations, always the one planning dates, always the one fixing problems, then what you've got is not a partnership, it's a performance. You're carrying both roles, and that's not fair. Relationships thrive when both people contribute, when both people are committed, when both people are invested. One-sided effort will always run dry because no one can pour from an empty cup forever. Love requires work. Not the kind of work that feels like a burden, but the kind of work that shows you care. And when two people are both putting in the effort, the relationship becomes a safe place. You feel supported, you feel seen, you feel valued. But when effort is missing, all you're left with is doubt, resentment, and eventually emptiness. Effort is love in action, and without it, love simply won't last. When somebody loves you, truly loves you, they want to see you shine. They want you to grow, to feel free, to live as the best version of yourself. But when somebody tries to control you, that ain't love, that's possession. And there's a big difference between being loved and being owned. Love says, I support you, I trust you, I want you to be happy. Control says, I need to limit you so I can feel secure. And the moment control enters a relationship, it starts killing it from the inside out. Control often shows up in ways people try to excuse. It's not always somebody shouting orders or putting chains on you. Sometimes it starts small. They question who you're talking to. They make little comments about how you dress. They discourage you from hanging around certain friends. They guilt trip you every time you want to do something without them. At first, it might even look like care. They might say, I just worry about you, or I only want what's best for us. But if it's not about protecting you and it's only about restricting you, then that's not love. That's control wearing a disguise. The problem with control is it doesn't stop once it starts. If you allow someone to control one part of your life, they'll eventually reach for another. Before you know it, you're walking on eggshells, afraid to make decisions because you don't want to trigger their insecurity. You stop being yourself because you're too busy trying to be whatever version of you keeps them calm. And let me tell you, that's not a relationship. That's a prison with a smile on it. Real love empowers. When somebody truly loves you, they celebrate your independence. They trust you to make choices. They encourage your dreams. They want you to feel strong. Love doesn't shrink you. It expands you. Love doesn't clip your wings. It helps you fly higher. But control is rooted in fear. It's about someone's insecurity telling them that if they don't hold you down, they'll lose you. And the irony is, by trying to control you, they create the very thing they're afraid of. Because nobody can thrive in a relationship where freedom is missing. Control can also be emotional. It's when they manipulate you with silence, withholding affection until you do what they want. It's when they make you feel guilty for having needs or opinions. It's when they twist situations so you start questioning yourself instead of questioning their behavior. That's not partnership. That's manipulation. And if you're not careful, you start losing sight of who you are because you're so focused on keeping the peace with them. Now, I'm going to tell you something important. Control is not about love. It's about power. People who try to control you don't really trust you. And if there's no trust, there can be no real love. Love can't survive in a space where one person has to shrink so the other can feel big. Love can't grow when you're constantly being told what to do, who to be, or how to live. That's not love, that's domination. The healthiest relationships are built on freedom and choice. You choose to be with each other every day, not because you're forced, not because you're scared of consequences, but because you want to. And that choice means more than control ever could. Love says, I trust you enough to give you freedom, and I trust us enough to know we'll keep choosing each other. That's what makes relationships last. So pay attention early. If someone is constantly trying to dictate your life, making you feel small, or cutting you off from your world, that's a red flag. Don't confuse that for love. Because the right person won't need to control you to keep you. They'll love you enough to let you be free, and in that freedom, you'll both grow stronger together. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is ignoring the signs that were there from the very beginning. Those red flags you brushed off, those little gut feelings you silenced, those moments you said, it's not that serious, or they'll change. That's usually the same stuff that ends up breaking your heart later. Red flags are not decorations, they're warnings. They're God's way, your spirit's way of saying, pay attention, this road ain't safe. But because we want love so bad, we take those warning signs and call them quirks, call them struggles, call them temporary phases. And by the time the truth finally hits, we're already in too deep. See, the reason red flags are so dangerous is because in the beginning, they don't seem like much. A raised voice here, a broken promise there, a little lie you catch, a little disrespect you excuse. You tell yourself, everybody has flaws, and that's true, but flaws and patterns are two different things. A flaw is someone leaving socks on the floor. A red flag is someone who doesn't respect your boundaries. A flaw is forgetfulness. A red flag is lying. We confuse the two because it's easier to hold on to hope than to face reality. The truth is, ignoring red flags is a choice. Every time you say, it's okay, when you know deep down it's not, you're choosing temporary comfort over long-term peace. Every time you say, they didn't mean it, when you know the behavior keeps repeating, you're choosing loneliness in disguise over real love. And let me tell you, peace of mind is too expensive to trade for someone who refuses to change. Red flags don't disappear because you love harder. They don't go away because you sacrifice more. They don't fade because you waited long enough. They usually grow louder. What you excuse today becomes what you endure tomorrow. That little jealousy you brushed off turns into control. That little dishonesty becomes full-blown betrayal. That inconsistency you tolerated becomes abandonment. Red flags are the preview to the movie. And if you don't like the preview, you're not going to like the whole film. But here's the thing. Most people don't ignore red flags because they don't see them. They ignore them because they're scared. Scared of starting over, scared of being alone, scared of not finding better. But you've got to understand, being alone with peace is far better than being with someone who costs you your peace. Red flags aren't designed to scare you. They're designed to save you. They're signals to turn around before you crash. And let's be real, when you stay in situations full of red flags, you're teaching people how to treat you. You're showing them that you'll accept less than you deserve, that they can hurt you and still keep access to you. That's why paying attention early is so important. The earlier you act on a red flag, the less damage it does to your heart, your confidence, your spirit. I always say, love should add to you, not subtract from you. If being with someone drains you, confuses you, makes you question your worth, that's not love. That's a lesson. And the lesson is to stop ignoring what's right in front of you. Love is not supposed to feel like constant struggle. Yes, relationships take work, but they shouldn't take your sanity. When red flags show up, it's not your job to repaint them. It's your job to recognize them for what they are and protect your peace. Because at the end of the day, your peace is priceless. If you lose it, you lose yourself. And no relationship is worth losing yourself for. Red flags don't mean try harder. They mean look closer. They don't mean fight longer. They mean walk wiser. And the sooner you learn to treat red flags as stop signs instead of speed bumps, the sooner you'll find the love that was meant for you. The kind that doesn't come with warnings, but with peace.